What's going on? Move the Mouse here, back in City Skylines, the town of Springdale. Let's play Season 4, Episode number 16. And it's been a while since I recorded one of these. I recorded the last two in advance, because last week was absolutely crazy. It was the end of fiscal year at my day job, and now that you know the secret is out, I was also working on some tutorials for Paradox surrounding the Park Life release on consoles. So I've actually gutted Central Park because this is the next big build, but I basically had to do a ton of grinding to unlock all the uniques, to unlock all the park objects for those tutorials. So Park Life hit Wednesday night at midnight, technically Thursday morning, and I was just grinding and unlocking stuff. So I got a amusement park going. I got actually used Central Park to unlock all the park objects, because the bigger the space is, the easier it is to do. I started with a little tutorial park over here. This is where I built that little example playground and things like that. I also got level 5 nature reserve up here, and this is really just kind of slamming things in for the video. We're gonna kind of rebuild all these. I do like how the zoo came out. We've got everything in there. So basically, we've got some crime happening down here. There's a police station right here. Apparently the officers are dead and they're not fighting crime. So that's an interesting predicament, but I'm sure that will sort itself out. So yeah, lots of stuff has happened. We kept kind of expanding the grid down here, and then it gets a little loose into the low density areas. But we're at 159,000 or so. We were in the low 160s at some point. We've got flooding happening over here? Where's the water coming from over here? I don't understand that. Oh, it's coming from... Oh, okay, that's where the water is coming from. All right, we're flooding our canal here, so let's fix that real quick. We'll go back into canals, and we'll just make a short canal over here for now. If I'm not pumping enough water out of here, then it overflows. So we'll let that kind of drain off, hopefully back here into the water. That should be good. That should be all right. I added a bunch of sewage treatment plants, and there's not enough water pumping happening to prevent it from overflowing. So this will catch some of the water as it overflows into there. We will sort that out eventually. So yeah, so lots has happened, unfortunately, offline. We'll work on some little projects, and there's lots to do. One of the things, again, one of the next big builds is actually doing a Central Park over here. So maybe we could get started on some of the basics of that. I've already leveled up. Let me see. Central Park, technically right now, doesn't exist because I've deleted all the main gates and things like that. So let's get going on that. This is going to be a city park. We'll do a big main gate right here in the middle. And it is a 1-star park now. It was a 5-star park. But let's get in all of our side gates. We'll do that right across the street. And then I want to have some ways, definitely, for people to get in down here next to the metros on either side. Did I leave one gazebo building in there? Let's get rid of that. And then back to the side gates. And what did I do? Did I do them on the ends? I did them on the ends. We'll get kind of symmetrical here. So we'll do this. And we probably want to have ways to get in from like the midpoint of the avenues here. I think would make sense. So 1, 2, 3 blocks. If we do it kind of right in the middle of this block, I think that's a good spot. Right about there. And then same thing over here. We'll do right about the midpoint of the block. It doesn't have to be perfect. We'll do that. Where were we over here? About here. That works. So we've got plenty of ways for people to get into the park. We don't have it powered yet. We'll get there. We'll get there. Let's do some basic paths to kind of carry people around the park. And I want the main path avenues, if you will. Let me see if I did these straight. Let's move that. We'll do some straight paths through the park for the main gates. And then we'll kind of curve things around a bit. We'll fence it off. We'll do all sorts of stuff. So that should be a straight path now. And for these main kind of cut-throughs, I'm going to do the decorated tree path ones. And then for the other paths, we can get a little funky with them. So we'll connect this down straight. It's nice to have some 90-degree angles to kind of work off of. That way you can drop in objects like the plazas, kind of on these sharper angles. We'll probably connect this one actually over on the main gate side, but just to show you real quick. Let's curve this path up and around. So we'll go to the curve tool. Come up about halfway, hook it in about halfway, and then we can do something like this. Then we'll do the same thing here. We'll hook this in about like that. Maybe like that. Oh, you know what? No, something comes to mind. So let me see here. Gonna get rid of this. Because what we're going to do is actually kind of make this like the real Central Park. And there's two buildings that I want to cram in here. So I believe one is... Oh, okay. Right there. So the real Central Park in New York City does have a zoo in the corner of it. If I do that, however, I'm not going to be able to get that footpath in there, so... Maybe we change these footpaths around just a little bit. A new idea. Let's move this up a square. It will let me. Then we'll move this right there. Let's break that and move this just for symmetry to this side. And back to our park paths. Curved, yep. We'll hook this back in. We'll bring this one out just past the zoo before we curve it back up into here. Oh, that's a really sharp angle. Not crazy about that. Let's, okay, it's not going to let me do that, so... Try that again. So it curves around a little bit here. It's a little better. Still pretty sharp. But you can see that zoo, which does exist in Central Park. Rather than do a, where is it? Like a zoo area like this, which takes up a ton of room. I kind of want to use that zoo unique building to fill in a little bit of that space here and give it that Central Park feel. So we might even do more side gates, right? It might be beneficial to do a side gate over here and over here. Just give people lots of ways to cut through the park, because they'll use it as a pedestrian path too to get from here to there. So if they're willing to walk it, they're also willing to pay a ticket price to come into the park. So it's a good way to generate some money for the city. So that is one of the buildings that we wanted to cram in here. The other one is down here. We're going to move this. This is the Museum of Modern Art. And that, in real life, would exist over here. I'd like to actually orient it this way, I think. Rather than eat up a ton of our park. Little lumpy, but we can deal with it. Let's smooth this out before we continue too far down this path. Let's see if we can make this a little bit smoother over here. Might be a little tough because we've got a metro tunnel over there. Whoa, hot air balloon. We added in hot air balloon tours also. Those are one of the new park life aspects. All you have to do is drop the building in and they'll just send hot air balloons on tours around the city. You also have a few different options for things like No, it's under the transport. So you have this double-decker bus over here now. So you can drop in a sightseeing bus depot. You could drop in bus stops, and ideally you want those bus stops, and when you're doing the routes, it shows you kind of where the big tourist spots are. So these are spots that would be good for a sightseeing bus tour. Those are also spots that are good to stop people on walking tours. And that'll help generate some interest in your city. I don't believe walking tours generates money. I believe the bus does, though. I'd have to double check that. Since I just did a tutorial on it, I probably should know, but I honestly can't recall if there's a way to set ticket prices for the bus. But I think it does generate money. Walking tours does not. So we've got kind of a start to our Central Park and our two main objects in there. One being, again, the zoo, which is in southeastern Central Park in the real New York City. And then this one here in the Eastern Park. Kind of Eastern Central, if you will. So I think we need one more set of side gates. I think I'm going to do them kind of at these crosswalks up here. Let's do a side gate right there. Inside. Yeah, we'll go inside the street. Right about there. And let's kind of hook these around. We'll again do the kind of main paths as the tree-lined ones. And then we can hook some trails in through here using the standard paths. Make it a little quicker for people to cut through. Let's see. Let's get these connected. How do we do this down here? Kind of do a similar thing. I'm going to bring this down first. And then hook it in like that. And then just so things aren't too uniform, let's go like this. Base already occupied. It snapped to the wrong node there. About like that. That should be good. And we don't need another entrance over here because of the massive Museum of Modern Art. But maybe we do one over on this side. It's really just what feels right? There's no necessary rhyme or reason to this. Can we connect this all to the same central point? That works. And then let's get these connected in. We'll come up to... Come to there. I don't think this is going to let me connect in at that angle. It won't. So we'll do kind of a split here. We'll go to there. We'll go to there. It works. So now we don't want any people getting in for free, but they won't actually path to the footpaths. Or I should say they'll only path to the footpaths. But we can kind of block this off here. I don't think we can fence off around the metro stop. Can we? No, we can't. All right. Can we go in behind it? That would be interesting. Should have left a little bit of space there, but that's okay. Let's see if it'll let me snap to that. We'll just go right here to the corner piece if it'll let me. I don't think it will. Let's come from over here and see if it'll let me line it up right. So that deleted the path. We could, I guess, move these in one block. Let's see. Let's see if that works. We'll delete the we'll delete the fence. Come in one, because that should let us then hook up those fences. Curve that one? Maybe? No. I don't like it curved. I like the sharp angle there. That works. And then we can connect this path back up. Curved. Yeah, I kind of like that. So let's do the same thing over here. Before we get our fences all set. We'll delete that. Back to move. So that we have some room to, whoops, snake a fence in there. Back in here. And you don't have to do the fences. I just kind of like the look of it in this particular case. If we can do this. You kind of, it's weird how some of these fence objects snap. You almost have to go to your side gate first to get it to snap on the right angles. At least that's what I have seen. It's a little finicky sometimes about where it wants to snap. You could turn snapping off. On PC, you can move it and really kind of tweak these fences, which is fun. But let's see where it'll let us go here. I don't think it's going to let us go. Let's see if it lets us go all the way to the edge of this property. It does. Okay, we'll do that. That works. That was generally easier than it lets us do things. We got to get this path connected back up. Look at all the pedestrians out there, right? These are all people that if they wanted to take a shortcut through the park are going to be paying ticket prices, which is nice. Ugh. So there we go. That works. We have this gate, this fence rather, all the way around the museum. That goes there. So let's get the fence hooked up on this side. Keep those freeloading Sims out. If you want to enjoy the park, you gotta pay your toll. Gotta pay the troll toll. You want to get into this park. Hopefully there's some Always Sunny fans out there. And you're probably thinking inappropriate things right now. Shame on you. Shame on me, sorry. So let's get this all lined up. So we got the straight tool out. And again, you don't have to do this, but I just thought with this central park, it might kind of give it a nice look. We'll get this hooked up all the way to the main gate. All the way around the side again. Yeah, here's where it gets a little... You gotta zoom in sometimes to really snap it where you want. Or turn off snapping again. That generally will work too. I don't know if it's gonna let us do what we did with the museum, but if it'll let me build this fence right up to it, that would be nice. Oh, interesting. That's right, I have a footpath over there. So, do we need this fence? Technically not. Because that's got a wall, right? People aren't gonna... I don't know. Then again, who knows? With these Sims, they might jump through the bear enclosure to get into the park for free. Oh! Dang. Okay, so let's do some moving around because I want to keep this kind of consistent with what we did in the other corner. So we'll move this up one more square. Should be right there. And then that way we can move this over one. Oh, all those people just got so confused. Here, let's pause it. They're like, I'm going into the park. I paid to enter, and now the footpath is gone. So now I gotta leave. Move that over one, nice and tight up against the zoo fence, and then we'll bring our fence around over this way. Ooh, will we? Will we? It doesn't like to snap if there's not a gate there. Let's just cheat the system. We'll put a gate here so we can snap the fence a little easier. I'll just delete it afterwards. It's not like we don't have the money to spare. 12 million in the bank. 157,000. We've got to sort out some of our population problems. One of those things is going to be better public transit. I threw in a couple lines. Let me show you real quick. Just to kind of move some people around. But this is not kind of how things are staying. We've got the two basic loops that I did. We've got the monorail. Then we've also got some lines that run through here and try and get people to industry and the airport. But I do really want to revamp that system. It's not kind of where it needs to be. Traffic is not the best. 72%. And we've got some definite problematic intersections where we know we have to work on that are getting clogged. So we will get there. I spun up a little industry area over here, and this is just absolutely jamming up this highway. This needs its own entrance and exit to the highway. This is not finished over here. But we will eventually upgrade that. Traffic is one of the things, and Metro is going to help a lot with that. So we'll be doing that maybe on the next episode, a traffic overhaul, or at least the start of it. I'm thinking what we can do is kind of tackle it zone by zone, you know? So work on this piece north and west of the river. Then we'll work on, you know, this piece, then this piece, and we'll eventually fix it bit by bit. We're not going to improve everything all at once. I did throw a cloverleaf in here as a temporary fix because we had basically a ton of traffic backing up onto the highway because they were backing up in intersections here. So now I have a cloverleaf, which at least keeps things moving so that if you're going into that part of the city, or to the right, or up above, it at least pushes the backup towards those intersections. Sorry, getting sidetracked. Just wanted to catch you up. So, where were we? Fence-wise, over here, I believe. We got the fence around that side. We have to move this. Let's break at least that path. And we'll move this up one. And get our fences connected over there. And then we can kind of start decorating our park. I think I went around the long way. I definitely did. Would have been faster to go left. All the flower boxes and stuff, food trucks, just a ton of room to kind of decorate in this central park. Go this way first. Seriously? Come on. Let me snap. Let me snap the way I want to. Let's get this out of here. I don't think we need that. Can always drop it back in later. Alright, well, we'll come back a square if you're going to be like that. Yeah, why will it let me do that on one side but not on the other? Very strange. Okay, we'll come out one more block than we need to for now. I'm not going to nitpick that too much. I'll do some messing around to see if I can figure out ways to get that to snap. Maybe if we put the metro in after, it'll work a little better. So our park is all fenced off now. Let's get those last couple footpaths connected. Let's delete one more segment here. Get that hooked up. Guess we'll come from this side first. That looks pretty good. So where do we have gates? We have gates in all four corners. We have gates in the centers, surrounded by this crosswalk so people can get from one side to the other. I wonder if you get a hand stamp or if you have to pay a ticket price when you enter the park on this side, then have to pay another ticket price over here. It's technically the same park, but it would be funny if we're double charging people across the street there. And then we've got a couple side gates, right? We've got 4 side gates on this side of the park, 2 side gates on this one. We'll see kind of how people are using the various gates. Now, one thing that we need to do is we need to get kind of power spreading off to the center here. I would have thought that the museum would have passed it, but let's see how close we are here. Not very. So we'll try and get a couple buildings in here that will pass some power. We definitely want to have a park plaza somewhere. And I think that would make sense to go on the main gate side up here. Maybe right on this kind of main junction right there. Might make sense. Kind of like that. Now, Park Cafe. Probably want to throw a couple of these in so that our Sims can take a lunch break in this beautiful Central Park. We are spreading power there now. That's good. So let's come kind of middle park for these. So we're gonna do a cafe there. Let's do a cafe over here. And then let's do some restroom service for those, because it's nice to have a place to wash up before or after a meal. And how about an info booth somewhere? So, I mean, it kind of makes sense, info booth right off the main gate, right? You want to find out what's in the park. Why don't we do one over, kind of halfway over here? You know, they're both pretty close, but maybe you're coming in, going one way, want to get some information. Park chessboard. I think this would be kind of cool to have one on either end of the park, but let's start with one over here for now. We can't do the piers because we're not building on water. We do have some gazebos and things like that. Climbing frame, I'm not entirely sure about. Trampoline park for sure, though. Down here near the zoo for the kids. A fun day out at the park. And then we've got various benches and signs. These are a great little detail. I mentioned this in my tutorial on the Paradox channel. But if you are... Let me show you real quick. If you're kind of walking around on foot. Man, I'm rusty. So it's a nice little bit of realism, right? You have these 4 paths that are kind of crossing, even though you can't read the sign. The sign doesn't say anything. It's just a nice little detail for realism that, you know, you might have a sign at these junctions that kind of point you to where other parts of the park are. So let's drop a couple of those in at the major junctions just for some fun little detail work. So anywhere we have, especially like a 3-way or a 4-way split, I think it makes a lot of sense to have those. Do one, maybe we'll do one right here. Tuck it in the corner there. Where else do we not have one? You have to zoom way in to see these sometimes. We'll throw one there. We'll definitely throw one over here. So that people know how to get around. Find all the nice resources that we have. Now we've got the gazebos that can help spread power. I think that is our next best bet. But I wonder if the food trucks and food stall objects... Might be kind of fun to have some of these spread out around the park. Compete with the cafe over there. Maybe we'll spread it out a little bit. We'll put one over here. I'll get an ice cream van, some dessert afterwards. Maybe we'll do a little food stall over this way. Customer facing side over here. There we go, that's good enough. So spreading power to these buildings, though, is going to be a little fun. These seem to be catching power okay. Those are not, so maybe we can do a little something in that little center square here. I wonder, I think the gazebos spread power, but there's one way to find out, right? I like to kind of put it on the angle. I think that kind of makes sense. Let's look at our power spread. Let's see how close we are on some of these. Is that gonna... There we go, it's gonna power. I was gonna say, it's gonna power up, right? 3 times speed? Okay. There we go. So those are actually passing power pretty well. That's good. As long as we kind of spread things out a bit in the park, we're doing pretty well. Let's get a couple more bits of decoration in there. We'll do a different gazebo over on this side. We do this one on the angle as well. Be nice. It's going to snap us there. Got the trampoline park for the kids. What else? Now you can drop in additional benches and things like that. These decorated trails will have them, maybe not often enough. They also, for, you know, especially for amusement parks, and I talked about this in the Paradox tutorial. Where is, over here, garbage cans everywhere. Next time you're at, you know, a Six Flags or a Disney, try and pay attention to how often there are garbage cans. They don't want you to litter, and they do that by making sure you don't have an excuse. There's just garbage cans everywhere. But either way, you won't see probably garbage cans as often in a city park, but probably near the benches. Doesn't look like these city park paths drop in garbage cans. We could do that just for a little detail work. That's not the most important thing right now. What about a climbing frame? Climbing frame for the kids over here too. Let's throw it on this side. Kind of mix stuff up a bit and spread some of these assets around the park. We did the brownish, is that brownish gazebo on this side? So we'll do a green one over here. Kind of right near the park entrance. And then we'll do a brown one on the other half. And I gotta check. I think, so when I deleted all the objects out of here, I lost my leveling. But let's see. This is the way you would get to it on PC. There's a faster way on console, so you can just go into park area tool and then interact with it that way. I think that's easier than doing it, but it is basically accessible the same way if you're used to playing it on PC. So we reset our visitor count basically. My entertainment is, you know, above where it needs to be, and we need to have new visitors come in. So if you do knock down a park, it does reset the leveling. That is good to know. So I had to do a level to unlock all those unique buildings. And let me just go over these real quick before the end of the episode. I will want to focus on zoning and traffic probably in the next one. Let's pause it for a minute. Doesn't hurt to pause. So basically in that tutorial, I did a real quick guide on how to unlock, or at least some quick tips or steps to unlock. They're really honestly not that tricky. Unlocking all the unique buildings for park life, they all help in some way increase your tourism. So the city arch, which is over here on our first main entrance to the city, that increases the tourist capacity of roads by 5%. At level 2, you have your clock tower. This increases the speed of trains by 20%. And I threw that over here in the little low density residential area. I thought that kind of looked nice. Doesn't stand out quite as much if you put it in the high density area. Over here at level 3, you have Old Market Street, and this is one that I'm going to want to tweak and kind of fit in here a little better. It's kind of like an old market style of shops, and it increases the commercial tax revenue in nearby zones by 5%. So again, that you know, commercial will draw in tourists, and this increases the tax revenue. So you put this in a real tourist-heavy spot, it'll up that by 5%. So it's a nice little bump. At level 4, you have the Sea Fortress, and this increases ship and airport traffic capacity by 5%. I threw that over here next to the level 6 unlock. The level 5 unlock is the observation tower, and that is over here. And that increases the radius of all parks and plazas by 10%, so you just get better happiness. And then the last unlock is the statue of Colossalus, and that increases the stay of tourists in your city by 20%. So I had to grind and do a little bit of work, but honestly, park life are some of the easier buildings to unlock, so you shouldn't have too much trouble, but let me know in the comments if you do, and I'll do my best to help out with those. The monument that you unlock is the Castle of Lord Chirpwick, and we threw that up here on the road up by itself. This is the mayor's house, by the way. It is now. I'm moving in there. And it increases the attractiveness of all unique buildings by 25%. So that will just kind of throw everything off the chart. If we go into the new tourism view, you can see kind of where tourists are attracted. None in the white zones, many in the pink zones. And, you know, you can start to kind of spread these out, make sure they're covered good by that makes me really happy that this science center brings in more tourists than a football stadium. Probably not the case in real life, but we have a very highly educated population thanks to Kangamoo U and the Collider covering the entire city. So I'm glad to see that the Science Center is a big tourist draw. The other thing that you can look at in those info views is on the other tab is the attractiveness. And green is the, you know, the off the chart scale. And we have a park maintenance building, and we have Castle of Lord Chirpwick, which is increasing the attractiveness of those tourist areas. So basically every unique building, every monument is just as attractive as it can be. Overall city attractiveness is at 90% right now. We continue to work on the traffic problems, work on the metro, spread some little parks here and there. It will just go to kind of help everything out. So we've still got a ton of projects to do in this town. I'd love to keep growing it. We've got room, right? We've got room over here. We've got room left of the highway. We obviously have a bit of patch we can expand to there and over here. So we can still grow this and get the population cranking back up again. I've got to get on my residential, commercial, and industrial zoning. So maybe we'll figure out some pockets for that in the next episode. Like I said, there's still lots and lots to do. Good to be back on the Let's Plays. Last week was absolutely crazy. But hopefully that was good to get you caught up. Obviously, it's changed a lot. And sorry I couldn't really record and do episodes on that as it was happening. But I really had to kind of crank and unlock all the park life stuff and upgrade everything to level 5s. You know, so we'll... this is kind of a quick... Well, not so quick, I guess, at the current time. But this was kind of a, you know, a Central Park episode. This is kind of the first kind of test build of what I want to do. But we'll definitely be doing kind of a bigger breakdown of Central Park itself. And kind of stylizing this some more. Maybe we'll try and get some water in there with an outlet. Hide that behind some trees and do a little reservoir area. But this is just a quick way to kind of get this leveling up again. And I think next time I shuffle some stuff around, won't be a complete rebuild of it. But either way, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you didn't mind missing out on some of that stuff while I was working behind the scenes. But we're back to the Let's Plays. There will be episodes hopefully this Wednesday and Friday. We'll figure out a streaming schedule, figure out when we can cram some other games in, like Tropico 6 and some other fun city builders. And slowly we'll branch out into other stuff as well. But it's good to be back on the Let's Plays. It's been about a week since I recorded one of these, so it's fun to be back doing this again. I do really enjoy it, and I hope you did as well. So if you did, likes, comments, and shares all help the channel and are greatly appreciated. If you're new here, subscribe, hit the bell to get notifications, and until the next one, which will probably be Wednesday, this is Move the Mouse, signing off.